Hello YouTube, martialmichael126 here. Today I'm going to be doing my first tutorial, or at least the first tutorial I'm doing on my own. This one is for you aspiring amateur voice actors, so I hope this helps. Okay, first things first, you're going to need a few things in order to start recording. Alright, now you're going to need a computer, a recording device, recording software, and in some cases, like auditions, you'll need some kind of video editing software. Another thing you'll need is time. Time is quite important. If you don't have time, you might as well not bother doing it. Alright, now, just so you know, I am on a PC running Windows XP, so my tutorial will be based on that. However, it doesn't mean you Mac and Linux users will be left out. It should be the same, I think. Yeah, it should be pretty much the same, just based on Windows. Your recording device is going to be critical. Without it, you can't record. Trust me. Just try doing it without it. Go ahead, try. Don't work, does it? I personally use a headset because with the microphone, I'd have to readjust the distance between the microphone and my mouth every time I record a line. With the headset, I could just pop it on and just position it, and it's there for as long as I need it to be there. Now, if you have a microphone like this, and you don't have a stand for it, you're gonna have to hold it. I mean, you could just plop it on the desk, and you gotta talk down like this, but that's kind of hard on you because you gotta look at your computer for lines, unless you print them out and place them right next to your microphone. Also, naturally, the better quality the recording device you have, the better it will turn out. I would not recommend using something like a camera, which is what I'm using right now, because, well, you hear all the background noise. Or do you? It also helps if you have a windscreen. Now, I have a windscreen that's designed for professional microphones, or, well, stage microphones, I should say. And, yeah, it works fine, even with the headset I use. It cost me $5, and it's totally worth the investment. Alright, now I'm going to demonstrate my windscreen mod here. You need to have your headset, because that's what this mod is for. You need to have your windscreen, this particular type, and you'll also need a rubber band. Now, first thing I recommend doing is twisting the rubber band like this, around your fingers, shorten it. Set that down, it should stay. Put that on like that, squeeze it a bit, hold it on tight, or it will fall. I tried this, I'm on like my third, fourth take here. Once you got it on like this, touch the rubber band, twist it again, put it over like that, and bingo. It works perfectly. Okay, now that that nonsense is over, you'll need some recording software. You can use whatever came with your operating system, like a sound recorder or whatever. But I recommend using Audacity. It's freeware and very easy to use. You can get it over there, or at least there's a link to it over there. As I've also mentioned, you may need to use some kind of video editor for auditions, which is very easy to do. I'm not going to cover it here because it's just that darn easy. But who knows, maybe some people will let you send your auditions through email, so you won't have to go through all that. Auditioning is where you're going to make your impression. Now if you're doing something on your own, then you can actually skip this entire section. Otherwise, keep watching. Okay, first things first. You gotta find something you want to audition for. Once you do, check to see if there are any rules on it, because if there are, you should definitely follow them more than the guidelines I'm about to give you. Now, if you ever have any questions regarding the audition, ask them, especially if you're going to ask something like a "may I do this instead" question. Always audition for more than one part if you can. The more parts you try out for, the better the chance you'll get at least one. And one is better than none, right? Also, try to avoid using long-winded intros. Nobody wants to hear you ramble on and on saying, I could do a voice like this, or maybe I could do a voice in this kind of mood, or I can imitate this kind. Nobody wants to hear that, honestly. Just stick to doing the actual voices. It saves everybody time, energy, and in my case, sanity, because I've seen people actually go on and on about saying what kind of voices they can do instead of actually doing them. And I just wanted to take my computer and throw it out the window! I'm not crazy, honest.
Okay, well, recording is fairly easy to do. I'm going to demonstrate using Audacity. You'll want to record in an area where there's no background noise because, well, background noise sucks. As far as technical stuff goes, you'll want to use certain settings. Now, it may vary depending on what the project leader wants, but if this is you, don't worry so much about this, but keep watching anyway. Now, if you like to use MP3 files, the main concern is the format of the MP3 that you want to use. Now, go to Edit, Preferences, and click on the File Formats tab and look down at the MP3 export setup. I'd recommend the highest bit rate, which is 320, but if you want to save hard disk space, then go with something like 128. But if I were you, I wouldn't go any lower than that because the quality will sound pretty bad. Now, I personally prefer rendering in WAV files because they're uncompressed and they're quick for exporting. Anyway, now for the actual recording. Start by warming up your voice. There are many ways to do this. I simply practice my lines in my normal voice, then in my character's voice. You may do this differently, so, whatever works for you. You'll also need something to keep your voice lubricated. Now, I recommend water. But whatever you do not drink soda or any other sugary drinks, as they will actually make your throat a little
because
sticky.
When you settle, that ruins it for everybody. Try not to sound hushed, because when you talk like this, it doesn't sound very good. Also, try not to talk very loudly, unless of course it calls for that in the script. If you're supposed to yell, move the microphone away from your mouth. Or, if you're like me and have a headset, readjust it. Maybe at an angle like this. Or when you gotta talk really loudly!
When you're ready to start, click the record button, recite your lines in the proper voice, and then when you finish, click the stop button. Once you're done, clip out any silence by highlighting it and clicking the delete button on your keyboard. Then play back your recording. If it's good, you can export it to a WAV or an MP3. There's also an option for an OGG Vorbis file, but I don't work with those. It's just a personal preference. You might.
Alright, one thing that I want to stress, please do not ever settle, because when you settle, that ruins it for everybody. If you're doing a fan dub, things might be a little trickier because you're going to have to lip sync. Allow me to cover freeform recording first. This usually applies to things like still images or an abridged series, which seems to be popping up all over the place. All you have to do for that is just follow the script and don't be afraid to ask questions. Now, as I said, fan dubbing gets harder and you'll need a little more stuff for this, like the video file, video player naturally, and patience. Whatever you do, do not do everything live because that's going to cause you a lot of stress, and it's very difficult to do. So just cut it down line by line and edit it later.
Now before recording, make sure you have Audacity open and your video file ready. I guess if it's supplied for you, you can always go to YouTube and use that video. Also, make sure it's muted, otherwise you'll hear the sound of the video in the background of your recording, and you don't want that, do you? Set the video to about 3 seconds before the line in order to get yourself ready. Then hit record on Audacity and play it on the video player. Record the lines to sync up with the lips exactly. Hit stop on both the video and Audacity. Then, on Audacity, remove all the extra silence as I've mentioned before, and you're good to go.
Anyway, I hope this tutorial has helped you. And for the record, I'm fully aware that I have no authority on amateur voice acting, but I have done a lot of research on it, and, well, nobody's complained about my work so far. So go out there and voice act your brains out, or, well, at least voice act until your heart's content.